This is the preparation to pass my second IFR check ride.
This one we're going to hand fly.
I think the perfect student is one who is focused.
Continuing to depart my altitude. This thing is hard to hand fly when you're not focusing on your instruments. So you did that on purpose, right, when you knew I had to brief it? Yep.
They have to be prepared to throw themselves into this with everything they got. My motto has always been, I'll work as hard as you do. I'll throw it at you as fast as you can catch it.
Dennis is tag teaming my training with Justin.
That was well done today, Steve.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
You seemed a lot chiller today. Like you were taking your time. Nothing felt rushed today, right?
You know, because of my background, I may see something that Dennis doesn't see. By flying with both of us, again, with very different experiences, you're able to sort of build your own toolbox of what you like and what you don't like when you're flying your personal aircraft, and we're trying to take you to that next level.
But you know what you're doing really well, Steve, is that you're not rushing in the mist. Have you noticed how your pace in the mist is so much better now?
I needed to transition from flying IFR behind an old six-pack to this modern panel to fly my instrument proficiency check. I loved Justin's reaction to his first RV-14 takeoff.
Power set.
Right downwind for runway 32.
The pressures are good.
Which I didn't fit into part 1.
That guy's about the same as the Super Cub, eh?
And Brown, Jack, Fox, fuel off your turn final. Base for
Except for the Super Cub, you're not climbing through 90 already.
Now, one other thing that I want to talk about, steerman flying.
Justin was inspired to buy one after seeing old FlightChops tailwheel training videos with Dennis, and the RV-14 shared the hangar with it this winter.
I watched the video with you and Dennis flying the steerman, and I thought, wow, you know, that seems fantastic.
So it's cool to come full circle and be working with Justin now.
You were doing this and this as part of the briefing.
Okay.
Do this first, set up your radios and your FMS or your GPS, then brief the approach.
Okay.
So you're setting this up and then you're just reading through to make sure that everything you've done is correct.
We in flight test got exposed to things that very, very few pilots would ever get to experience. We're taking, you know, commercial category aircraft, installing them, going through stick shaker to stick pusher. So we're learning things that, you know, these airplanes are still flyable in stick shaker, and once you get to stick pusher, you don't want to be pushing against, you don't want to be fighting the stick pusher. You want the airplane to protect itself. These are the experiences that, you know, I'm able to bring to next level flight training when I'm working with Dennis and the pilots that have chosen to work with him.
And I'm one of those pilots. I've been working with Dennis for a long time. My instrument training got kind of sidetracked a little bit by building FlightChops in the early days.
Something like that. Oh boy, I went too far tonight because I want 140. Yeah, I'm not gonna have time to brief again. Good God.
This video goes back to 2015 when I had a lot of distractions, but Dennis stuck with me through it all.
We'll do a hold, we'll do an approach, and we'll assess it. It's a nice simple exercise from which we can figure out just how rusty you've got in all this time away.
Okay.
You ready to go?
Nope. Let's do it. But in early 2020, I flew the instrument rating flight test behind steam gauges with no autopilot. So I didn't fail. I'm instrument rated and it feels kind of surreal. And I can't thank Dennis enough for getting me there. I also need to shout out Cloud Ahoy. This is the actual debrief from my initial instrument rating flight test. I've been using this to debrief my flying since 2014, and it's amazing to see how far they've taken it. Specific aircraft models can be set for performance profiles, and it will auto-detect VFR and IFR maneuvers and score them. And Dennis wanted to make sure that we also thanked Toronto ATC for being so accommodating for training and practice flights.
Toronto, it's Charlie Golf Alpha, just starting our descent into Brantford. We're going to go mist and then head to Hamilton for Charlie Golf Alpha, but we're going to switch over to Brantford Unicom.
Charlie Golf Alpha, roger. In the mist, you can go right over the tower there on 1250 at Hamilton.
Okay, on the mist, we'll go to Hamilton Tower, Charlie Golf Alpha, 1250.
And their help isn't limited to IFR.
At Charlie Golf Alpha, you're identified, and what altitude you're looking for the aerobatics?
Between 4,000 and 6,000.
So that's a bunch of awesome content that's coming, and it's going to include some solid Cloud Ahoy debriefs. But for now, let's get back to next level flight training, part 2.
Okay, so we're headed down. So I can put this into approach mode. Okay, we're in terminal, so I'm going to watch for this to switch.
Yep. And you're at 121. I want to say 120.
I was trying to balance the energy in the turn situation. It did require like a little bump of power in turns.
But if you pick a speed and fly a speed, you will get so tuned in to the power lever in this airplane that you'll be able to make minute corrections, and that's what we're looking for, right?
Yep, it just keeps you in tune, exactly. I'm going to get myself into flap
vertical track.
So it's warning me that I'm getting close to my descent.
And it's also reminding you that, hey, make sure that you arm the approach. And how can we confirm that we've armed the approach?
I have it in approach mode.
And you've got GP in white.
Yeah, okay, right. So I should have said that when I did it.
Yeah.
These things, if that doesn't happen, it's not pressing stuff.
And where can we anticipate starting our descent? How far back?
So I want to be
from Seco.
So 0.3 miles at 25, but we're at 32, so
we're 700 feet above, so that's like 2.5 miles, so probably 3 miles from Seco about is where we can anticipate starting down.
Okay,
if my math is correct.
I'm going to review how you did that so fast, but okay. 300 feet per mile, is that how you did that?
Yeah. Okay. And we've got to lose, we're going to be, it's 2578, so with temp comp, so 2600. So we've got to lose 600 feet.
2 miles plus 0.3?
Yeah, plus 0.3, 2.3
okay.
back.
That's the math?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, so we like where we're at?
Yeah.
Okay, so this turn.
And that's just a good wag, right? Because you've got this right here, right? This is going to, when you make the turn, it's going to tell you how far you are from Seco. And if you're at 2 miles and we don't see the little glide path indicator up here, it's like, oh, wait a minute, like what's going on?
Okay.
Right?
And I'm expecting to see this change when I'm on final.
It should change now, yeah.
Downwind runway 3500 go.
And there it goes. So once it's sequenced, it did that. Brantford traffic, Foxtrot Charlie Golf Alpha, 11-mile final for the simulated RNAV 05. We're going to break it off and do the mist in Brantford. Okay, so there comes the GP, so we know we're below it.
Yep.
It's white, it's happening. Okay, so I have the autopilot on VS mode, but it's in approach mode. Is it going to override that and take...
Well, it's going to VS down to the altitude that you've pre-selected. Now, you could change that to like 2,700 or something so that it levels at 27 instead of 25.
But should I tell it that? Like, what if it got to the glide slope before 25? Would it override that? Because
it would, because that's what's armed. That's what it's waiting to do. I just meant if you didn't want to keep descending and prolong where it's going to capture the glide path, if you'd rather capture it earlier. Plus, you need to also slow down, right? So having it level out at 2,700 with the current power setting is going to allow the airplane to slow down so you can get some flap in there.
Yeah, so we're in a good spot there. Our speed is pretty good now. I'm standing by to do the configuration change. All right, gas, undercarriage, mixture, props to go, switches. I guess we didn't do P2E today, but we're in clear air.
Yep.
I'm secure, and we're not going to land.
So what speed are you targeting now?
I'm going to get flap speed so I can get ready to drop my flaps. I'm expecting it to start descending in 1 mile.
Yeah, it's starting to come in, and I bet you we capture it around 2.5. Let's see what happens.
You as a pilot, learning this technology on your brand new aircraft, you get to sort of pick and choose what you like and what you don't like from the experiences that you're having with both Dennis and myself.
This is what we're thinking about, right? See, like because we thought about all this stuff during a low phase period of flight.
We're not busy now.
Now you're just sitting here going, okay, is everything sort of working the way I anticipated it would, right? And we're like, oh, look, 2.7 miles. We're maybe going to we said we're going to intercept at 2.5, maybe it's going to be 2.3, something like that.
Props will fine,
traffic,
and
Delta,
expecting the descent.
Runway 35, touch and go.
So we've got one thing to do here.
Call?
Yeah, we can call.
The FAF.
And...
Oh, bug. Yeah. Because
otherwise when you hit heading, we're going to do a right-hand turn, right?
Yeah. So every time she straightens, I gotta center that bug.
Same.
Gas undercarriage, mixture, prop switches, I'm secure. That's the final gums check, and here comes the FAF. Looking for crossing altitude corrected of 2578.
So we're going to say Seco 2578, and we're going to confirm we're at or above that altitude.
And that's the chime telling me I've left. And we didn't bug the mist. Oh, we did. I guess it is 32. So that just happens to be.
So when the glide path captures and it goes from white to green, we're going to say glide path capture. Set mist approach altitude 3,200.
Climb 3,200, track 053 to Urnick. And if I look here, there it is. So it's in Didn't send my book, yeah. That needs to be just a habit.
Yeah, I think what I like about your approach is you tend to find what the person needs instead of forcing them to mold to your style.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's how you've always been or if that's just come from years of doing it.
I just found that because I learned from so many different people with different styles that there is no one right way to do something. As long as it's safe and as long as it's effective, it gets the job done. Why force somebody to conform? That's like trying to make a left-handed kid right with his right hand. You know, it's just not fair. I think that's where the bespoke part comes from. Let's find out what you know, how you learn, what you do the best, work on the things that you don't do the best.
What was the frequency she gave you on the mist?
Yeah, I wrote it down, but I should have put it in. Okay. Because, yeah, I'm going to be busy on the mist, right? Okay,
right.
So here comes that.
I'm pulling the power back to get to flap speed before the autopilot pitches down to start the descent.
Flap selected 1 notch.
We landed on pulling back to 10 inches and then adding flaps. The prop is already set to full fine and I need to add some more power with the flaps out.
Back to 13.5 inch. Ramp for traffic, Charlie Golf Alpha, 5 mile final, 05, and we'll be doing the mist.
And sorry about the glare sometimes in the chesty cam angle. I did my best to use arrows as needed to point at important things.
Okay, so this is not giving you a chime, but it is flashing, so that's always a good spot to say something too.
Okay, so
that's captured.
Roger. Right, so then I know I'm going to need to probably pull the power back a little bit as it pitches down, which I'm doing now. Alright, so I'm going to be here we are now at set click, and we're at 2540, and we talked about I forgot what the corrected altitude was, but anyways, we're above 20, yeah, that's good, 150 above it was good. I should have been ready with that number in my head earlier, but we were 150 above.
Well, again, it depends on what page you want to be in, right? This is where you start manipulating all the great stuff that's available to you so that you're getting the stuff you want.
Yeah, I just didn't want to be doing that right that moment, but it worked out. It was about 150 feet above 24, which is what I got here. Okay, so we are going through 22 to descend for our corrected barrel min of 1450.
Okay, and once we're on the glide path, what do we want to set the altitude bug to?
Does it go around 32? I should have done that right at intercept.
Well, the missed approach altitude, barrel corrected, is 3470, so you can set it to 35.5.
Gas undercarriage, mixture, props, switches, I'm secure, you're secure, and we're going to do a mist in 500 feet. It's 500 to go for 1450.
So now here's a little issue. Remember we talked about leveling out at the MDA?
Yeah.
But because it's in approach mode following this LNAV plus V, guess what it's going to keep doing?
Going to keep descending.
To be clear, leveling off of the MDA is not going to set you up for a stable approach, and Dennis also wanted me to point out that there are differences between the Canadian and the Jeppesen charts.
Okay, right.
If you
so
initiate the mist right at MDA, then that's not going to be an issue because it'll go to the toga and climb.
But I won't. So what I'll do is I'll manually level out. So there it is.
Okay.
I'm going to level out at 1450 here, and I'm going to fly. There's my 1.5 miles. So theoretically,
so you'd be looking.
Right. So
look at this is a perfect spot if you could see the runway.
Yeah.
Now just imagine how much later you're willing to try and do a landing from.
Right. So if we were in the soup, we'd still be not seeing it, and we still have 1 mile to go.
Yeah.
So I'm holding 1450.
This illustrates why leveling off at the MDA and flying to the map is not a good SOP because it sets you up for a very unstable approach.
And look at 3/4 of a mile. Now the end of the runway is under the nose of the plane. Do you think you still want to attempt a landing from here?
No, well, this would be like maybe if I had a good headwind, but no. So obviously no. But for the exercise, we'll go we'll go the rest of the 0.5 miles.
Yeah.
So I'm holding 1450 manually here, and I'm flying the.
You're flying the course bar, right?
Yeah.
Staying on course. Now, as soon as you get over the missed approach waypoint,
0.2 miles.
Arriving at.
Yeah. Yeah. So no way, man. It's like the airport is below us. Yeah. So here we are now. So the autopilot's off. So I need to manually fly this flight director for now. So I'm setting power. But anyways, it was toga, power set, climb power, flaps up. Flaps indicated coming up. And now I can go to autopilot heading mode on, and it should still fly it should fly that.
Yeah. And
positive rate gear up.
And your next active waypoint?
I'm gonna now go to nav. Well, I need to make sure it's
Yep, that's the active light from 05 to RNF. So nav.
Didn't do anything weird, and it's telling me it's heading there.
Excellent.
Okay, so that was, yeah, so I manually flew it because the autopilot wasn't engaged, so it couldn't do the toga for me, right? It just gave me the flight director toga.
The flight director shows you what you should be doing.
Now let's watch that approach with Justin. We stayed on automation and executed the mist right at the MDA instead of manually leveling off.
So I want you to hold 90, not 91, not 89, 90. Okay.
200 to go for minimums.
Check.
100 I'll be looking up.
So at 1470, say 100 above, and then at 1370, you're going to say, I'm going to say decide, you're going to look up, and I'm going to say go around.
So don't look up now then?
Yeah, don't look up. I'll tell you when to look up.
Okay, 100 to go for minimums.
Check.
Flight just told me 500.
500.
Okay, there's 1370, decide.
No
okay,
contact,
go around.
Toga, power, check power, set, flaps, 0, flaps selected, flaps coming up, positive rate, gear up, heading, set, altitude, bugged, autopilot in heading mode.
There you go, and you've got autopilot heading, go around, which means you're climbing in pitch, and you're climbing to 3,200, and altitude is selected, so we confirm that it will level off at 3,200. That looks good now, so you can arm select nav.
Yep, just finishing tweaking the power.
Okay.
So I'm going to select nav mode because I see that it's going to do that.
Transition, yep.
Nav. Scoreboard says nav, so it's tweaking my heading slightly to get on that course. That's expected.
Because we've got these SOPs that are starting to come together for you, you're thinking about things about 5 minutes before they actually happen, right? So by the time they do happen, there's no surprises, right? Which is giving you the sense in the airplane that things are slowing down, right? And that's what we're working towards, right? Is getting you to a point where nothing feels rushed and you never have to say, oh, let me do that really, really quick, right? Which we talked about it on our first flight.
Okay, so the type is non-standard, I guess, because it's making left turns, but it's published. Telling me it's going to do it. So we're in that hold.
Isn't that cool?
Speed, I mean, it's not quite 120, so I guess I'll dial it back.
Well, a hold could be
5
minutes, could be an hour, right? It's
well, so, and then this is the time to also, I guess, we could redo Justin's fuel check weather thing. So I got, I don't have a destination right now, so I should put one into my flight plan so I can get my FOD.
I'm about to enter the waypoint and press direct to and activate.
No, it's in nav mode. It'll go to Hamilton. Right. So cancel. You just want to add it. Don't activate it. Just hit enter. Just hit enter. It just puts it in the stack.
Roger. Okay, so now I get a FOD. No, I don't. Why is that?
Because we haven't gone there yet. Once you tell it to go direct to Hamilton.
Oh, because it doesn't know how long we're going to hold for.
Right.
Okay, so anyways, I had done that before, so I knew we could hold for an hour, and we probably held for 10 minutes before, so I still have 50 minutes worth of hold fuel based on my remaining 20.
Okay.
And then, yeah, weather, we can look at it again just to know that nothing got weird in Hamilton.
Having the SiriusXM weather data in the panel is awesome. I'll get into this in more detail in future episodes. And if you want to see these raw training flights with both Justin and Dennis, they're available to Patreon supporters.
Okay, so I'm looking at the airport layout for Hamilton. We're expecting the ILS 12. It's a 10,000 foot runway, no concerns there. And we're not intending to land, so I'm not going to worry about briefing taxi.
Perfect. So before we do anything, let's pick up the ATIS.
Yeah, so I'm heading over to the plate now, which will give me that.
Perfect.
ILS, no, jet plates, yeah. Okay, so I'm looking at the ILS 12. No, that's the wrong one, Cat 2. I want ILS or NDB. Looking at the ILS or NDB for Hamilton, it's 11-1. So the ATIS is 128.1.
Hamilton Airport, information Papa.
So I'm not going to review the rest of this hold, execution, and plate briefing, which we covered thoroughly in part 1, but this nugget from Justin is cool.
Let me make one more suggestion for you, Steve.
Yes.
So we're flying around right now, right? And we haven't checked the state of the airplane for many seconds now. So what my suggestion would be is anytime the airplane goes into a turn, stop, or comes out of a turn, stop, and say, okay, I'm turning outbound, I've got my heading set, I'm still at 3,200, traffic is clear, go back to the brief.
And make sure
show the inspector and yourself that you're still aware of what's happening around you, right?
Right, not just going for a roller coaster.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Charlie Golf Alpha Tower traffic for you at your 2 o'clock for 2 miles, same direction, Hyper Seneca traffic, 3,000 feet, descending for circuit altitude for circuit runway 06.
Okay, Charlie Golf Alpha looking. I don't see him though. He's that same direction, so he's out there somewhere.
Yep, 200 feet below you now. He's in the descent. He's doing circuits for 066.
Well, I guess you're saying flight plan is the better menu to have up here, right? Tells me, where's the one that gives me the, that was under map?
Okay, now watch what's happening as you're drilling down on something else, but you're capturing the glide path.
I'm late with reducing power this time.
Yeah, so when you get behind that, then you're...
Prioritize.
I need to mitigate acceleration when the autopilot pitches down.
Yeah, so 'cause I should...
Because it's hard to go down and slow down.
Yes, sir. Flaps down. Okay, so ZHA, we're supposed to be at 2210 plus the corrected altitude of 150 or so. So this is a DA, so we can activate the mist immediately.
500.
DH, yes.
What did I say? DA?
DAs. Too many Ds.
100 to go. A little fast.
Yeah, you got a slightly quartering tailwind, so the autopilot's
pitching down more, yeah. Okay, there's minimums. We pretend we don't see it, Toga.
That went well, so let's skip to some of the nuggets on the way home at the end.
This one we're going to hand fly.
Okay, so I will kill it now, or what do you want to do? So we're going to lost the autopilot.
Watch how fast I bust my altitude while trying to hand fly and brief the plate at the same time.
Autopilot's telling me I'm leaving my altitude. Nice. Okay, we're looking at the RNAV 32 Burlington. Continuing to depart my altitude.
Well, it's again a time slicing exercise, right? Airplane, plate, airplane, paper, airplane, radio, airplane, plate.
Feel free to pause the screen here to read Dennis's disclaimer, but the bottom line is we took this very seriously, training for several weeks, and following every flight was a solid debrief session.
Vertical track.
I don't know what that warning is. It tells me I'm getting near.
Your top of descent starts in 1 minute.
If I was to fly that approach.
Warning, yeah.
So if you're simulating the fact that I lost all this, wouldn't I lose all that too?
No, you just lost your autopilot.
Okay, because otherwise I have to fly this with GPS. I have no other way.
Well, if you're cleared for the approach. So if you were to put it in approach, then all you got to do is fly the flight director. Just because you lose the autopilot doesn't mean you lost the flight director.
Right. So it flip-flop telling me this is the time to make that turn.
Yep.
I just nest that. Okay. Okay, so there's glide path guidance is alive. So I mean, I should have done cold weather correction to this.
Yep. But it's a VFR circuit day. We're above an overcast. We're going to pop out below. So when you get to 1,500 feet, you're going to go visual.
This was a bit of a breakthrough, being able to dig into the GTN 750 to do that while hand flying.
I managed to do it. Traffic, traffic, Charlie Golf Alpha, 8 mile final, runway 32, full stop. Gas is going to stay where it is. Tanks are not even yet. Undergear's down, fuel pumps on. Mixture rich. I'm secure, secure. Yes, sir.
Let's go back to finish that ILS with Justin, which I have a feeling is going to end up terminating in a missed approach.
Gas undercarriage mixture prop, which is I'm secure, secure, and we have clearance to the mist, which we're going to call. Yeah. What speed are you targeting? 95. A little bit of chasing there.
I'm going to drive you crazy, but,
man, it's good.
But what's going to happen is you're going to have such fine dexterity in the power lever control that you're going to be able to set it and just know.
I'll be on auto throttle.
Exactly.
Okay, so 1780 for 1080. Bug is set 'cause I already did that. Okay, that's good. Alright.
500. 500.
So there's 1320 for 1080.
Charlie 373, downwinds at your discretion. Traffic on approach for 1.
Charlie Golf Alpha, pull up and go around, runway heading to 2,400.
Pull up and go around, Charlie Golf Alpha. Toga, power set. Flaps selected, flaps coming up. Positive rate. Gear up. Heading set, altitude bugged. And go into heading mode.
So thanks for following along for this process of my initial transition training to this modern glass. Thanks to Dennis and Justin. I definitely restocked that beer fridge in the hangar multiple times to get through all the debriefs. And coming soon, I did attend an in-person course at Garmin for a couple days. So that's pretty cool stuff. And until next time, keep your flight chops sharp.
Yeah, that was good. That felt pretty good today.
But you know what you're doing really well, Steve, is that you're not rushing in the mist. Have you noticed how your pace in the mist is so much better now?
Yeah, the one thing that I'm intentionally slow with is power set, because I don't want to like firewall it.
No, I like that. Smooth power is better power.
Yeah.